everyone, welcome to another episode from Ampro Engineering. For those of you who don't know, I love 1980s Italian cars, and even though this is technically from the late 70s, I bought this. I've seen them on eBay for quite a few years and just kept thinking to myself, that's going to be a piece of junk. But the fact of the matter is, I picked this up from what I believe to be next to nothing, $130 plus 30, I think, for shipping, so I couldn't pass it up. It is an RTR kit, so it's the second RTR kit I've ever purchased. Why this has been happening in the past month, we'll never know. Let's open this up. Let's see if I can do this all on my very tiny workbench. Okay, here it is. The car is a 1/10 scale Fiat 131, which I used to have a 131 four-door, a US spec car, which were called the Brava. This is the rally racing version, the Abarth 131, and it's just, the real one's a masterpiece, and the toy one, well, we don't know yet. But just straight off the bat, I'm noticing that these stripes, if you can tell right here, there's a little bit of overspray, and that's because these are actually painted on the inside. In fact, wow, all this, that's all on the inside, so that's pretty remarkable. In the front, we do have some tape peeling over here, and this is painted on the outside. But again, for $170 for an RTR kit, I'm not going to complain. Personally, my belief is yank the body off and sell everything else. But I don't know. Let's take a look. This might be not a half bad car. In fact, the wheels are correct. Fiat Abarth racing wheels. These are, I believe, by Chromadora. The real ones, anyway. Let's see here. Let's get some flush cutters and snip the remote free. Huh. Remote's pretty nice. I have to admit, it's I don't know who makes it. It's all got rally legends on it. If anybody recognizes this remote, please let me know. I don't know where they got the molds from for this. It does come with a battery charger, which we're not going to use, but again, it was ready to run with just remote batteries. And let's snip the car. More stuff in the car. There's a charging cable. Oh, I know why. So there's a charging cable depending on the region it's sold. So I'm in the US, so it came with the US style connector. These are drift wheels. I've never bought any before, but they're plastic, so they're hard wheels. And you can see by the Martini livery on the package, this looks like a wheel that you might find, the rim anyway, that you might find on a Lancia Delta Integrale. Not the same rim exactly, but it has that kind of fine mesh style. Instruction manual, body mounts, there's mirrors, and there's different diameter inserts for the shocks. Probably, it's from Italy, but it's probably made in China. I can't imagine this would be made in Italy. I'll find some kind of reference in here somewhere. Let's pull the body off. The only disappointing thing I'm noticing so far is that the trim around the windows, it's almost just like a black tape, and it's not quite well placed over here. And this is something that I can fix myself by placing my own. It looks a little cheap. Otherwise, the livery looks very nice. And I love the fact that all of this is painted. I think that's really, those of you who have watched my channel, you know how much I like to paint the majority of my decals and such. Doesn't want to come. So the car did come with oh my god. Okay, so this I was not expecting. I knew it had lights. I just wasn't expecting these lights. Oh man, is this, I feel like this is the light set I hate. Has a little let me just show you the exhaust here. It might be a little out of scale, just a tiny bit, but I like the thoughts. That's okay. It's a little ridiculous. We'll put a bigger one in, but all right, that's fine. A little out of scale. Looking in the car, we do have it's a genuine 4-channel receiver. I'm pretty surprised to see that, because oftentimes these would only come with 3 channels, so I'm surprised to see 4 channels there. It does have probably a Mabuchi motor. I'm sure there's knockoff, more inexpensive ones with a Rally Legends decal on it. Shaft drive, 4-wheel drive system here. Are these ball diffs? I'm gonna have to read up a little bit about this, but these diffs feel really, really good. The front's a little stiff, you can tell because it's actually spinning the whole drive shaft. Quite surprised by this thing. Tires are very soft. To me, the tire track width is too narrow because it's like the rim protrudes a bit, and I don't like that look. But I gotta tell you, so far I'm finding very few problems. The chassis seems a little flexible. The steering, I swear those are ball bearings. The steering play, that's it. That's it. How does a dirt cheap, inexpensive, no-name brand kit have better steering and less play than a Tamiya? How? We have a QC, it's quality control, date August 2011. So this battery's up there in years. It's a nickel metal hydride. As long as it's of a decent quality, it should be operational. I do not own a charger. Well, actually I do. I have the one that came with it. The same brands that they've just kind of relabeled over. It has some Italian brand. I don't know if they're any good. Made in China, like most batteries are now. I'm going to throw a lithium polymer in here, and we'll see how it starts up. We do have this. Oh, I know these battery chargers. These are those $5 eBay battery chargers. I've got like 20 of them. I had one burn out very early on, but all the rest have been amazing. So these are reasonably good speed controls. I'm going to go with the batteries in the remote, and you can see here that this has been retrofitted with a 4 AA socket instead of what it once was for 8 AA. So this radio is definitely up there in years. Again, if anybody's familiar with where this radio came from originally, I would love to know. This car has got this Traxxas plug on it. Unfortunately, when I bought my TRX4, I bought this here adapter, so we can use this adapter to plug into the ESC. I do not believe that this ESC is lithium polymer compatible, and I'm going to lift the car up a bit, and you're all seeing this with me the first time. I turn the radio on, and whoa, it looks great on camera. This whole display, not on camera, looks kind of maybe it's the... No, it looks like it doesn't look very good in person. On camera, it doesn't look half bad for some reason. Let's turn the car on. Lights should all come on. Right, left. Give her some gas. Very quiet. Give reverse. Wow. Oh man, does it have those irritating headlights? Oh my gosh, it doesn't. The headlights don't get brighter. They just stay on like normal headlights do. Look at that. Very nice. Let's see, it's supposed to have taillights. Let's look in the back. So it has taillights, I suspect. Oh geez, let me lift the car up a little bit. Okay, accelerate, brakes. Sweet. Do we have turn signals? Wow. Does the front have a turn signal? I don't think so. Front doesn't have any signals installed. They would usually work off of these, which are actual... Wait a minute. You gotta be kidding me. Wow. I was not expecting that. I don't know what this came from. I have controllers just like it that do not perform in this manner. So that's pretty remarkable. There are also holes in the taillight bucket that's a reverse light installed. Does this thing have reverse lights? Okay, let's try this again here. Accelerate, brake. Turn the wheel left. Let's go backwards. I'll be damned. So there's an empty bucket for something else that you might want to install. Usually the lower ones are for fog lights in the rear. Okay, I'm pretty surprised about this. Let me put the body back on it real quick. Giving the car a good once over, you can see that for the most part the decals are installed well. And again, this is not a decal, this is painted. So there are some little imperfections here, but I think that's going to be glossed over by the fact that it'll never peel. Here at the rear, again, everything looks pretty much accurate. The wheel well is cut out darn well, I think. There's some little kind of nips here and there, but I think in comparison to an amateur, they've done very, very well on this. It could use some cleaning up. Here at the rear, you can actually, you can finally see some decal placement that is incorrect. It's just slightly at an angle. And I believe that emblem should go there, but I'm not going to. Don't quote me on this. Again, the ridiculous exhaust tips. And unfortunately, the taillights are not painted. But you know what? I would rather me paint them than have somebody else use opaque paints. I could use something very translucent there, make it look good. A little bit of overspray, but I suspect that even doing this by hand, this is going to be very, very difficult to properly mask. I believe TO is Torino in Italy, where these cars were originally built. The 131, I don't know that the Abarths were built at the factory. The biggest issue I've seen so far is the placement of this wheel and this wheel well. You can tell that the body mount holes aren't quite in the center. So the car's body is shifted over slightly this way. It's about 3 millimeters. So that's a little unfortunate, as the repair would be to make the body mount holes larger. And I don't really feel like doing that. So as a result, this wheel is inset, whereas this wheel I think fits very nicely. Kind of a major thing in terms of appearance. Same over here, the decals are placed very nicely. Clearance of the rim is excellent on this wheel arch. At the front, I think, is where we have the vast majority of the problems. The entire grille, I believe, is supposed to be a single plastic part. If we compare it to the box, it does appear that there are, well, first off, that the grille is very, very, very square versus the car that has the decal that's kind of tucked in on all the corners. Also, these rally models of the 131, as well as the sport models, had larger inside headlights, and this car has the same size, which is common for the lower end cars or the US spec cars to have both inside and outside the same size. I suspect that this was originally a plastic insert, and simply due to cost cutting, they removed that. Also, if you look at the door handle, this one protrudes and the one on the car is flush mount. So I think some things did change, but overall, you know, the car came out quite nice. I'll be 3D printing my own. Here it is showing working lights, but I suspect that we're looking at Photoshop right there. So the grille isn't spectacular, but in fact, yeah, you can see how far back set these lights are. So that's not great. It does give the proper look of the car, and I think for the vast majority of people looking for something in this price range, it's probably not too bad. There is what appears to be paint chipping in these corners. It's on the inside, so I think with just some white paint that'll be touched up. Over here, these are just some smudges that have been kind of coming off the more I kind of poke at them. I do want to take the car for a spin though. I do have to admit that for the price of, I've seen between 130 and 150, for what you get, it is not a bad deal. This company seems to focus predominantly on Italian rally cars. There's a couple of Stratoses, the Lancia Stratos, which is a spectacular vehicle. There's also a different livery of this one here. but the Alitalia paint scheme has always been one of my all-time favorites. I've seen fewer and fewer over the past few years, so obviously they're out of production. If you are looking at getting one, I think you might want to move on it. My original plan was to get the car, test it out, review it, see how the chassis was, and dump the chassis. You know, it runs so well that for what I plan on using this car for, I think I might just hang on to it. I have a number of other Fiat sedan bodies that'll fit on this, so I think we're going to hang on to it. Again, anybody out there that is aware of what chassis this is, I would love to know. With respect to if you just want to get one, I would still focus on a more readily available chassis, something preferably, simply because of my own prejudice, from Tamiya. The TA02, as flaw prone as certain areas of it are, the aftermarket is just remarkable for those cars. So usually some used kits or even RTR kits will fetch a little bit more than this car brand new, but you are going to have a vehicle that has more of a following and more replacement parts and all that. As a toy, this thing it's quite good and good value for the money, but I think you are better off using a more mainstream chassis. And if you want this body, the body is currently available for a fairly high dollar amount, around $70 or $80. But at least you're going to have a more run-of-the-mill chassis. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed watching. Please stay tuned. I got a whole bunch of additional upgrades coming up for some older Tamiyas and also for the new Traxxas TRX4. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.